Welcome, everybody. My name is Kelsey Agnew. I am a program coordinator at EcoSuperior. Radon awareness is one of the programs that I coordinate. If there are other Thunder Bay folks joining the chat, it would also be helpful to know which city ward you are attending from or live in or work in, as we will touch base on radon in city wards a little bit later. If you are attending from outside of Thunder Bay, that would be great to know as well. A little bit about EcoSuperior. We are a not-for-profit that was established in 1995. We received an award last year for being 25 years old, which is quite an accomplishment for Canadian environmental organizations. So we were pretty proud to receive that award. We do a lot of things to try and achieve our mission of building a healthy future for people and the planet. And as you can see here, that includes active transportation, waste management, education programs in schools. We also house the Thunder Bay and Area Food Strategy. We offer forest therapy. We do shoreline cleanups, and then radon fits into home and energy, as do the home energy audits that people can access for retrofit grants. So to jump right into radon, the reason you're all here. Radon is a naturally occurring gas in the soil. It occurs when uranium, which is also naturally occurring, starts to break down, and that breakdown process creates radon gas. It's invisible, it's odorless, and it's tasteless. So it is completely undetectable in your home without a test kit. And what can happen is that it can accumulate indoors and therefore in the air that you breathe. And here in Thunder Bay, we test higher than the national average for radon. We have some studies. I'll mention a study from 2015 that the Health Unit did that explains this a little bit more. So how does radon enter your home? Well, it does so through any way that it can. With it being a naturally occurring gas in the soil, anywhere that our homes are in contact with the soil is an opportunity for radon to enter. So if there are cracks in our foundations, as it shows here, or the seals around our windows aren't quite tight, or if there is fittings or weeping tiles coming into a sump pump, or a sump pump is in your basement, then those are all ways in which radon can enter your home. And the reason why radon is so attracted to getting inside the house is that the air pressure inside a home is usually lower than in the soil surrounding the foundation. And this difference in pressure draws air and other gases, such as radon, from the soil into our homes. You can see that it also talks about the shower. Now, radon gas can also be in water, but it's only hazardous when it's a gas. So in water form, it isn't hazardous to our health, but in the gas state and breathing it in, it is very hazardous. And a local story that we have about radon in the water and how radon in the water could become hazardous to our health happened at the Dorian fish hatchery, where they were aerating water. And so that previous photo showed water from a shower and then the hot water turning into vapor, and the radon could get into your home that way. At the Dorian fish hatchery, with the large amount of water that they were aerating, the radon did get released into the air that workers were breathing, and it had to get shut down, and that had to get mitigated. That was back in 2014, and that did get taken care of. And so what happens and why radon is dangerous is because it can be a cause of lung cancer. In fact, radon gas is the #1 leading cause of lung cancer among non-smokers. What happens is radon gas breaks down to form radioactive elements that can be inhaled into our lungs. And in the lungs, radon gas continues to break down, creating radioactive particles that release small bursts of energy. And this energy is absorbed by nearby lung tissue and damages the lung cells. And then when cells are damaged, they have the potential to result in cancer when they reproduce. The really important thing here is that with individuals who are smokers, your risk of getting lung cancer, if you're exposed to high concentrations of radon for a long period of time, dramatically increases. The chance for a non-smoker is 1 in 20. The chance for a smoker is 1 in 3. And so depending on our lifestyle choices, depending on the length of time we are exposed to radon, depending on the concentration of radon and the ventilation rate in our home. Those are the top 4 contributing factors of getting lung cancer from radon. What do? You test your home. In 2015, the Thunder Bay District Health Unit did a blitz of testing homes to get some understanding about what the levels of radon are in the Thunder Bay area. So radon is measured as becquerels per meter cubed. This is named after the French physicist Henri Becquerel, who discovered radioactivity. And the Health Canada guidelines says that if you have levels of radon below 200 becquerels per meter cubed, the risk is low and mitigation isn't required. However, above 200 becquerels per meter cubed, there requires remediation. This is a chart from the study done in 2015. You can see the different city wards, and then you can see the number of homes that were tested, and then you can see what percentage of those homes had concentrations of 200 becquerels per meter cubed or higher. We have limited data from the Thunder Bay area. The data that does exist suggests that Oliver Papoonge tests 65% of homes that have been tested above the guidelines. And that means tested above 200 becquerels per meter cubed. In Marathon, 17% of homes that have been tested had concentrations of 200 becquerels per meter cubed or higher. In the Nipigon, Dorian, and Red Rock area, we have very small sample sizes. And at the moment, all we have recorded in our data is 3 tests from each area. Nipigon had 2 out of 3 homes that tested high, Dorian had 3 out of 3 homes that tested high, and Red Rock had 3 out of 3 homes that tested low. The important thing that we really want to get across in this webinar is that we just want everybody to test their home. And if you know people who have homes in these areas, then it's also really important to test your home. The reason why we can't just go off that chart and say, oh, well, I live in Westport, so I'm safe, I don't have any radon there, is because radon is very unpredictable. And what can happen is neighboring homes can be side by side, and one home can test high for radon and the other one doesn't. This is an example where the test kit was 15 feet apart in different homes. One home here you can see on the top tested below 200 becquerels per meter cubed, and then another home tested above. And it can often be attributed to how well sealed the basement is. The radon gas will take the path of least resistance. Speaking with a mitigation professional earlier today, he has seen very similar situations, even on the same blueprint, where one side of the home in a townhouse tested very high, and the other side of the townhouse was absolutely fine. This is a map representing the 2015 study. And again, what I want folks to take away from this map is you can see that there are squares and beside and a red square indicating high levels of radon, and the yellow squares indicating low levels of radon can be side by side. And therefore, the only way to figure out if you have radon at high concentrations in your house is to test. There are 3 ways of testing. You can get somebody to test for you, or you can use a screening tool that is just meant to provide some education around the fact that radon exists. And the hope is that anybody who uses the screening tool will go for a long-term test. Regardless, you always want to have the test in the lowest occupied room in your home. So for example, if you have a bedroom or a living room in the basement, great, then you can do your test there. However, if you don't hang out in that space for 4 or more hours a day, then put the test somewhere that's more representative of the air you breathe, that's still the lowest occupied room. So if it's a bungalow, for example, and you don't hang out in your basement, then be sure to put it on the main floor. And then it's also really important that tests are done during the winter time. That's why Radon Awareness Month is November. So at this time of the year, throughout Canada, most places are starting to get colder as we approach winter, and your doors and your windows and things are closed more often, and there's just less natural ventilation happening in your home. And then that means that the air that you breathe isn't circulating as much, and that is when, if there is radon present in your home, it can accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. So this is what the short-term test looks like. These are available at participating libraries here in Thunder Bay. All 4 public libraries have them. The Oliver Papunge and Murillo Library have these short-term detectors, as well as there are libraries throughout the region, such as Terrace Bay, that have them as well. And the important thing is that these are just meant to be a screening tool, and they're not meant to be used in the summertime. However long you're able to borrow them for is the length of time that you should use them in your home. And Health Canada has created this library lending program as well to make radon awareness accessible for people of low income, or people who are curious but not yet ready to commit to a long-term test. However, they also want anybody who uses the short-term detector to hopefully have the intention to do a long-term test. The reason being, the long-term tests are certified by the National Radon Proficiency Program. They are the most accurate tests available, but they cost money, and so they have these screening tools available so that testing your home for radon can be accessible for all. This is an example of a long-term test. We sell these at EcoSuperior, and at EcoSuperior, they're $50, and that includes the test, it includes the prepaid postage, and it includes the lab fees. There are radon tests also available at hardware stores. I don't have much information on those. And how these tests work is it's a minimum of 3 months that you have them in your home, a maximum of 12 months. So you could go online, buy one from EcoSuperior. Same thing, you set it up in your home in the lowest occupied room where you spend 4 or more hours a day breathing. And wherever you set it up, you don't move it. So you aren't trying to introduce it to every nook and cranny in your home or every room, or you're not getting samples from different levels of your home. You choose the lowest occupied room in your home, you set it up, and then you somehow create a reminder that you don't forget about it, as they could provide inaccurate results should the test period be shorter than 3 months or longer than 12. And then it's important again that if you're only doing 3 or 4 months, that those 3 or 4 months are during the heating season. So let's say between November and April. If that isn't your jam and you just want a professional to come in and test your home, then there are people and businesses in town that can test. All of this information is on our website, ecosuperior.org/radon, and contact details are available there. I didn't have room on the slide to put it all. So you can also have professionals come into your home, set up a long-term test, and then come back and check the results for you. When you do a test and you get your results back, the Health Canada recommendations are that if your home tests between 200 and 600 becquerels per meter cube, fixing your home within 2 years is required. And if your home tests above 600 becquerels per meter cube, it's important to test your home within, or fix your home, I'm sorry, within 1 year. And does anybody know where the highest record of radon levels was recorded in Canada? The level was close to 6,000 becquerels per meter cubed. Any guesses as to where that may have been? I'm asking because it's kind of in the area. Feel free to put an answer into the chat if anybody has a guess. We have one. Oh, someone says my basement. Oh, I hope not. It was, in fact, well, maybe it was, I'm not sure. And if you were in Armstrong, there has been a test, there have been testing done up in Armstrong, and some of the levels came back close to 6,000 becquerels per meter cubed. And in 2016, there was some huge remediation efforts done on buildings there. But like everywhere in Northwestern Ontario, including Thunder Bay, more testing is needed to understand. So you buy a kit, you test your home, you put the long-term test there for minimum 3 months, maximum 12. It turns out that you need to do some mitigation. There are some very easy ways to do that. Fixing the cracks in your foundation and sealing your windows, or blocking off fitting entries that are no longer useful in your home are all waste. If you have an open sump pump pit, then it's important to get that sealed off and covered. There are radon fans. So for example, if you have a sump pump and you cover that off, then you can put some PVC piping over top of the cover. You can attach a radon fan and then you vent that outside of your home. And then there are other ventilation systems that you can install in your home to help to circulate the air more often. What is nice about the mitigation professionals that we have in town is they are so experienced that they can understand where there might be entry points into our homes that we just aren't even aware of, and they can make the suggestions and they can make the recommendations. It is obviously, like everything, a cost to the homeowner, and for depending on the setup of your home, it could be anywhere between a few $100s to a few $1,000s to get the proper mitigation work done. This is what it would look like to get your test results if you used an EcoSuperior test kit. These are the results from a board member of EcoSuperior that tested their home. So the top result showed that they had a level of 457 becquerels per meter cubed in their basement, and therefore it was recommended that they had it fixed within 2 years. The very important thing is that if you do test high and you do mitigation work, you have to retest to make sure that your efforts were in fact successful. And as you can see here, after the mitigation work was done and another test was completed, the radon results came back at 35 becquerels per meter cubed. So from 457, it dropped down to 35. This is the exact retrofit that was done. This is a square box that sits over top of a square sump pit. The pit itself is larger than the box. The pit was covered with plywood and sealed. The retrofit was done by the homeowner, and then this box sits on top as an access point to change the pump out and so on and so forth. And then attached to this box, you can see this PVC piping and a radon fan. There's also a gauge on the side of the piping that shows the air. It's an air pressure gauge. This fan is plugged in and it just constantly runs. And the electricity costs are close to that of a light bulb. So nothing too significant. This then vents outside. There are also rules about where you can vent. Has to be a certain distance away from windows or intake valves and so on and so forth. And again, all of that information can be found online if you find yourself having to do some retrofitting. Otherwise, a mitigation professional would know all those details as well. There isn't funding available to make to pay for any mitigation. However, this Take Action on Radon Reduction sweepstakes is one way that homeowners can try and get some money back for the work that they've done. You have to do the work first before you can enter the sweepstakes, and it's similar to a lottery where whomever enters, they are just picked randomly and then they get some money back, and the conditions alter a little bit each year. So you just want to go to that website there, Take Action on Radon, to figure out if you qualify. But the exciting thing is that more than one person from Thunder Bay has been a winner in the sweepstakes. So it is possible. So for Radon Awareness Month, we ask everybody to take action on radon. And just to recap, that includes testing your home. You could also purchase radon test kits for your friends and family for Christmas or their birthdays. You can make sure that you fix your home if it is needed and spread the word about radon to your friends and neighbors and encourage them to test as well. And that is all that I had to share with folks today. So if there are any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat. I think I can also unmute you. So if you prefer to ask your questions, then you can go ahead and do so. That works. And yes, so this is my contact details here. So if you wanted to chat with me, yep, I can stay on this call, or you can feel free to call me at any time. And if there aren't any questions, then you are free to go.